Well, it didn't turn out exactly as I expected. What's happening, cats? I was able to dip the skull. And here we go. Here's the results. I was hoping it had more of a swirl on it, like there. The top just pretty much came out red. But yeah, you know, I think it's pretty cool looking. I think it turned out okay. And I think my grandson will like it. After I dipped it, all the teeth were red, so I went back and I painted the teeth white. I just thought it looks a little cooler that way. So yeah, coyote skull. I painted the eye sockets black because they were red too, so it just gives a little more contrast. I think my grandson's gonna love it. I really do. You may wonder how I actually dipped this thing. Well, I filled this tub up to the top with water. And then I used just regular Rust-Oleum spray paint. I had red, I had white, and I had black. So on the surface of the water, right in the middle, I'd spray, you know, a little red, and then real quick, white, real quick, black, and then just keep rotating colors. And each time the color goes out in like a ring, so you end up with a bunch of different, you know, striped rings. And then you just simply take the skull and dip it in and hold it there for a little bit, shake it around. And then there's still some paint floating on top. You have to kind of brush that over to the side. Otherwise, when you pull it out, that paint will stick to the skull too. So it's a little tricky. I did some experimenting with a can, you know, just to see if it would work okay. And then I learned, you know, what to do and what not to do. So my final attempt, that's how it came out. Not bad. But yeah, I was really hoping for a little more of this swirly action here. But, you know, I got a little bit. But for the most part, all this part up there, I don't know why, it just was like all red. It didn't, you got a little swirly there. And a little bit over there. Yeah, well, my grandson's going to absolutely love it. So it is a very, very windy day, kind of chilly, but nice. The sun's shining, and I spent most of the past couple hours just grinding up leaves in the yard, blowing them over to the woods. So, and I mean, with the wind, there's still more leaves coming on, but you'll see most of the trees are bare now. You know, they've lost, except for like this one. Still has some leaves up there. This is weird too, because this tulip poplar over here is the same species, but the leaves are still green on it. So, you know, I don't get it. The maple lost all of its leaves, so I don't get them going in the garage so much. But yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just real windy and a little chilly. If you were out on the bike, you'd be getting blown all over the place. I bought a new pair of muck boots this week because I wear them all the time. These are my old ones. Now, the reason I got new ones was these ones were leaking. But see, they still got some tread on them. And they'd be okay if you were wearing them in the mud or in the snow. But if you're going in the water, they're going to leak. So what I did is this, there was a leakage right here on this seam. So I put some, you know, silicone sealant on there. And I don't know how long that would last. There was a hole right there that water would pour in, so I put some silicone sealant in that. And then they had a few other little seeps here and there, but other than that, they're pretty decent, you know, for somebody that wanted a cheap or a free pair of boots. I hate to just throw them away because they got a lot of good wear in them. Yeah, aside from my bikes, I've been keeping this pretty clean too. I'm wiping it down. I'm keeping the debris off of it so it stays in good shape. This tractor's a beast. So I have one of those, you know, C-shaped toe shackles that I put on here with a hitch pin, and I can put my chain to it. And I was pulling 20-foot logs out of the creek with this thing. And it works great because it has the differential locker there that locks the axle so that both wheels are, you know, together. Normally on a mower, you know, one wheel will spin and the other one won't. But this one, I mean, look at the size of those tires. It's got massive traction, and the thing's got power. It doesn't even bog the motor down. It's a workhorse. I'm really, really happy with this tractor, and I'm trying to take care of it. I do work it, and sometimes I might abuse it a little more than what it's designed for, but it does the job. It actually works. Sun's going on down on another day. A chilly day. Pretty overcast, but that's typical for Ohio. And the sun's going down early because of the time change this week. I just can't ever get used to that. I don't know why. I don't think anybody can. I thought they were going to change it for a while, but we fell back an hour. So, you know, it gets dark at like 5:30 now, where in the summertime it's daylight till like 9:30, 10 o'clock. So that cuts out any, you know, after 5:30, you're not going to do a whole lot outdoors unless you're into walking around in the dark. I'll show you the project I had been working on down here on the drive, well, by the culverts down here. I've been opening up my stream here because it was all overgrown and it was getting blocked up in areas where it wasn't flowing well. So, you know, I cut all this brush away over this way, and then I just kept working my way up. And the more I did, the more I liked it. So, you know, there wasn't any water in it when I was working down here, but it's rained, so, you know, we get a little trickle of water now. It's not really what I would call a gusher, but I've cleaned this out all the way up here, and I like it. It's, you know, I got like this little trail here that I can walk on, and the neighbors have walked on it already. They like it because everybody likes walking alongside of a stream, you know. It's just nice. It comes all the way up here to the street where the main culvert pipe is. But I've got it cleared out up to a certain point here. And then things got... There's another limb that came down. This big thing's getting ready to fall down. It's kind of a woodpecker tree though. But see, this is what I'm left with here for cleaning up. And this big thing, which I was afraid was going to roll down into the stream. But see, it's like there's no defined stream here. It's just all a big jam of logs and whatnot. I may have to see what I can do in there, because it comes out up here to the main culvert pipe, and that comes across the street and runs up alongside Dylan's property there. So, you know, you can walk all the way around. You can follow up here. I guess that's kind of... I'm going to clear some of this out here too and open this up a little bit more. when I get around to it. No big rush or anything. It never fails. I come down here to get the mail out of my mailbox, and I'm bound to get run over by traffic. It's like an expressway. Never used to be this way, but it is now. Look at this one. Urgent letter, rapid delivery. Whoa, it's urgent. I better hurry up and open it. Only to find out it's another ad. Just like the rest of the junk mail that I get practically every day. Very rarely do I get anything that's worthy. All my bills are done with auto pay, so I don't get paper bills in the mail. But what I do get are things that I've ordered online. And sometimes it gets a little frustrating because some of the things you order you'll get tomorrow. And other things you order, it's like 1 week, 2 weeks go by, and you're wondering, where the heck is it? And, you know, I'll use like PayPal, you know, or something to pay. And you know, I'll go online to try to figure out where it is, and it's like no response from the seller or anything. So I go to PayPal and file a, you know, I don't know, a complaint or whatever. They have, you know, a category that you can fill out the blanks and say, you know, I ordered this on such and such a date, haven't received it yet. I've got no correspondence from the seller whatsoever. And twice now I've gotten a refund from PayPal right away, and then like after like 3 weeks go by, boom, there's a thing in the mailbox. I'm like, it couldn't have taken that long to go in the mail. I ordered a part for my little dump trailer that I have, and I ordered that 3 weeks ago, and it said it was coming from California, but it still isn't here. Well, how long does it take to ship something from California to here? I have a sneaky suspicion that it's coming from China, that it's not even coming from California, because who knows nowadays, you know, they're all about scamming you. They want your money so bad that, you know, they're going to deceive you any way they can, and you got to watch out. Yeah, it's urgent, all right, for hearing aids. What's that you say? Yeah, I could probably use hearing aids, but my brother has them, and I'm not gonna deal with that issue. All he does is complain and has problems with his hearing aids. I should be wearing glasses. My vision isn't that good. I wear reading glasses, you know, when I'm reading things up close and whatnot. But I do have glasses that I wear when I'm driving, and especially at night. But I don't wear them all the time because they're not like bifocals. I can't really read with them, and they're for distance. So anything up when I'm wearing those glasses, anything up close is kind of more blurry. So they're kind of for, you know, driving. My driving glasses. But anyway, this month I have to renew my driver's license, my Ohio State driver's license. And so I'll have to go to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, and I have to do the eye test, where you have to look in the machine and read the letters E, D, G, F, H, you know. And I'm just always afraid that I'm going to fail it, and they're going to say, "Oh no, you're not going to be able to drive unless you have glasses." So I'll stick my glasses in my pocket when I go, and that way, if they require me, I'll put my glasses on, and I'll still get my driver's license. I have a Class A CDL truck driver's driving license, and I also have a motorcycle endorsement on my driver's license. So even though I don't drive truck anymore, I still get it renewed because you never know. I mean, one day they might need a snowplow operator or something, which I have a lot of experience in. I know they're always hiring down at the state highway department for guys to run snowplows. Which in Ohio, if you're a CDL driver and you're running a snowplow, a lot of the time you're parked somewhere along the side of the road, waiting for it to snow. I've seen it, and I know guys that have done it. He said, "Man, I just spent 8 hours sitting in my truck on the side of the highway. It never did snow, but I had a load of salt in the back of the truck, and, I just sitting there playing with my phone, trying to stay awake." So those jobs are always open, but I don't know if I'm ready to go back to work ever again. I like retirement. These phones listen. Yeah, it's not just some conspiracy theory either. My friends and I are out having a drink or breakfast, and we're talking, and next thing you know, the same thing we're talking about comes up in an ad on my phone. Now, is that just a coincidence? I don't think so. And I don't believe that there's somebody actually on the other end listening to everything you say, but the information that's fed into these phones goes through a massive computer bank, and they feed off of algorithms, or certain words are like triggers. Certain things that you say could be a trigger. And it could cause, most of it's used for advertisement, because they know if you like, a certain type of shoe, then you're going to get an ad for that type of shoe if you talk about it. But it can also be used for criminal activity too, I suppose. If you were talking about some kind of covert operation and it picked up some key words that, may be involved with terrorism or something, you could be investigated. I don't trust these things, really. And, the whole thing with modern technology just frustrates me to no end. It never used to be this complicated. It was just the other day I opened up my Netflix app, okay? And every single show that I clicked on, it wouldn't play. It would say, come up with a black screen, and it would say, "This program is currently unavailable. Please try another selection." Well, no matter what I tried, it came up with the same screen. And I did everything that I knew. I shut the TV off. I turned it back on. I went into the settings, and I did a reboot of Netflix. I even checked my Netflix account to make sure that it was up in good standing, and everything was going right, but I couldn't get any of the shows to play. And I mean, that was really frustrating me. It was causing me a lot of anxiety. I thought, doggone it, I have this TV and I can't even watch, and I'm paying for Netflix, and now I can't even open any of the shows to watch them. So what's going on? I restarted my router. I mean, I did everything. So finally I went and found a contact for Netflix, and I called, and of course I get an East Indian woman who I can't understand, and she's saying, please go to I'm doing the can I go and check that? And I'm like, I can't understand what you're saying. Please talk slower and clearly so I can understand what you're saying. Well, she had me go into the settings, and I was able to find like an error code that I read back to her. And then she put me on pause for a while. I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs. I'm still frustrated. I'm like, my TV ain't working now. What's going on? But anyway, she comes back and she says, what I'm going to need you to do is unplug your TV. I go, the plug for my TV is back behind this big heavy console. I go, I really have to move some furniture before I can get to unplug it. And she says, well, take your time. I got all day, whatever, how long it takes you, but you're going to have to unplug it from the wall. So I do that. I slide this thing out and I pull the plug on it. And she says, now don't plug it back in until I tell you to. And so then she put me on hold for a couple minutes. And then she came back on. She said, are you still there? I said, yeah. She says, you can go ahead and plug it back in now. I plugged it back in. She said, turn your TV on, boot up Netflix, and see if it works. Well, bingo. It worked. That's what it was. But then I couldn't get my YouTube to work on the TV. Everything worked on the computer over here at my workstation. But I couldn't, and so I had to, reload that. And finally I got YouTube to open up on the TV too. But I guess my whole point is just this modern technology is not simple for people. And it just gets to be more and more complicated as time goes on. And the pathetic thing is, I really don't need to be watching TV. Half the shows that I watch nowadays, I mean, things are a lot different from when I was a kid. Half the shows I watch nowadays, I'll be halfway through a good movie, and next thing I know, there's two guys or two gals going at it. Two men, kissing or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not watching this. Are you kidding me? I don't, that's not my style, and I don't care to watch somebody else doing it either. So, but, back when I was a kid, we had a black and white TV. There was 3 channels on it, 3, 5, and 8. That's all you got. If you didn't have anything on there that you could be interested in watching, then you just didn't watch TV. There was no pausing a program or recording it for later. You had a TV guide that told you what time your show was going to be on, and it came on at exactly that time. And when it was over, it was over. And if you weren't there to watch it at that time, you missed it. There was no YouTube. There was no cell phones back then. We had a phone on the wall, a dial phone. But there was no answering machine to go with it or anything like that. You just went over, dialed it, you talked to somebody, you hung up, and it was done. If you missed a call, you missed a call. There was no way to know who called. There was no caller ID on those phones back then. The only other appliances that we really had like that was a radio. You could listen to the radio. And back then, most of the stations were AM radio. There wasn't a lot offered on FM radio at the time. But that changed as I grew older. But man, the technology has come so far since I was a kid. And now it's 10 times more complicated because everything, including this camera that I'm using right now, has its quirks. And there's a lot of information that you have to learn about using one of these technological advancements. And if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, it can be very taxing on the brain, especially for us old guys. Even our Harleys now. I mean, this Harley is old school. There's no computers on it. It's got a carbureted motor, and it's easy for me to fix. This thing though probably has 5 different computers in it. So if one little thing goes wrong, it ain't gonna be like I can fix it anymore. It has to go into a shop, get hooked up to a diagnostic machine to see where the issue is. So yeah, even my motorcycles have become more complex, more complicated. And you got to have more than a college degree sometimes to know how to deal with these things. By the way, have you seen the new lineup of the 2026 Harley-Davidsons? They got some pretty interesting features coming up in the new models. And then in, well, they haven't even released the limiteds yet. So I think in January they're going to release those, and we'll see what they have offered for the limiteds. But it sounds like, you know, that's going to be pretty progressive too, pretty neat. Well, again, it's going to be pretty windy this afternoon. There's really high winds expected. I'm not sure why. They're rolling in more cold weather, another storm. My friend Buzz told me that it might even snow next week. We'll find out. I don't know. I'll be glad when this winter's over, regardless. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like my video, hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe and join the rest of us. Till next time, cats. I'll catch you all later.